It was springtime on the island of Sodor, and all the engines were working their hardest. The big engines weren't very happy to shunt in the yards, and the steamies and diesels weren't keen on working together. But they were still really useful engines. James had a very important job. Sir Topham Hatt had sent him to work at the shunting yards. James wasn't very fond of shunting, but he still wanted to be really useful. When he arrived, he could see there was a lot that had to be done. Dennis was also there. He was looking rather upset. The yard foreman arrived. "James and Dennis," he said, "there are to be 2 extra coal deliveries around the island. Dennis, you're to take the first coal train to M.A.G.I.C Station. James will follow behind to deliver his train to Kronk Station." Dennis was very annoyed. He was a rather lazy engine. He didn't want to work hard. Plus, he didn't like pulling heavy loads. "Wake up, Dennis," whistled James crossly. "Stop daydreaming and be a really useful engine for once." "Fussy wheels," muttered Dennis as he followed James. Soon Dennis had collected the cars and was on his way to M.A.G.I.C. But he was still thinking of how to get out of work. Then he had an idea. When he saw the signal box, he stopped right by the tower. The signalman ran out of the tower. Dennis groaned weakly, pretending to be sick. "Help! Help!" he moaned. "My crankshaft is jammed." Just then, James puffed up. The signalman looked to him. "James," he called, "can you shunt Dennis all the way to the next station?" James was shocked. "Me? Shunt this dirty, lazy diesel? I'd rather not." "Would you rather be on time with the coal?" asked Dennis. "Or would you be rather delayed more than ever?" James had no other option, so he gently buffered up and pushed with every ounce of steam he had. It was hard work, but James never stopped. His axles creaked and his firebox tingled, but that never stopped him. Dennis just rode along the line, snoozing happily. It wasn't long before they reached M.A.G.I.C Station at last. Dennis smirked triumphantly. His scheme had worked. But by now, James was running very late with his train. Thomas was already there when he arrived. "You're usually on time, lazy wheels," teased Thomas. "I tried my best to make up for lost time," huffed James. "You look tired," said Thomas worriedly. "What kept you?" "Dennis said his crankshaft was broken, and so the signalman told me to bring him to M.A.G.I.C." Thomas was very cross. "That Dennis," he huffed. "He never learns. From my own experience, he's trying to get out of work again." James was surprised and very cross. He wanted to pay Dennis back. The next day, James arrived at Knapford Station. He was to take some passengers to Mayfwaite. "Do your best, James," assured Sir Tom Hat. "You are a really useful, splendid engine." James smiled, but then he saw Dennis standing still in the yards. An idea flew into his firebox. "Fill up more coal," he tooted to his firemen. The fireman obliged and began to shovel more coal than he had ever done before. James's steam was rising so high, and his boiler pressure was getting high. Soon James began to puff out of the station, until, all of a sudden, "Bust my boiler!" he wheezed. "I've run out of steam!" Everyone was surprised, even Sir Topham Hatt. "We'll need another engine to take this train to Mayfwaite." "What about Dennis, sir?" said James as he pointed his eyes to the lazy diesel. "What? A splendid idea!" boomed Sir Topham Hatt. "Oh, well, I love to, sir," stammered Dennis, "but I "Whatever you have, Dennis," interrupted Sir Topham Hatt. "It can wait." Dennis just sighed. Soon Dennis had been coupled to James, and with a loud hoot, he set off on his long journey. Dennis wasn't particularly happy. He didn't like to work hard, but he knew he couldn't let the passengers down, so he kept wheezing and groaning as he struggled down the line. And it wasn't long before they reached Mayfwaite Station. The passengers clapped and cheered for Dennis, but he was exhausted. "Whew, why does work have to be so hard?" he moaned. "That'll serve you right for being a do-nothing diesel," snorted James. Dennis was too tired to retort.